Hey everyone, let's wrap up March. March was rather interesting. I started off with a fun video about the snobism we have in our bookish community, and thank you for all the positive feedback on that one. I enjoyed doing it and I enjoyed reading your comments about it. So thank you very much. Apart from that, I uploaded a lot of reviews and my letter to March. Also, thank you very much that you enjoyed that. So let's get right into the books. I read quite a lot in March. So let's start with things that I didn't finish, because I tried out two things that I thought I might like or might be interested in, but turned out not. One of which was What Language Is. This book has been on my TBR for years. It's a nonfiction about language and linguistics, and I started it 20 pages in or so. I decided I'm not interested in it at the moment, so I put it aside. No hard feelings and off the TBR, which is always good. The other book I tried was The Eighth Life. I sampled it on Kindle, and I don't even know how many pages I read, but it took me hours, and I was sort of interested in the story, but I really didn't get along with the writing. The writing started to annoy me the more I read, and I still had 1 hour or two of the sample left. And I was like, if it's already that bad in the beginning, how much more annoyed will I get in the 1,000 pages to come? So I put that aside. Can't say if the book is bad or not. It's just that the writing didn't really agree with me. But now to things I finished. Let's start with physical books. I read There But For The. I also uploaded a full review about this one, and you might want to check that out because I'm trying to keep things short here. There But For The follows 4 different characters, mainly in 4 different parts of the book, and we get to know more about these characters. They're all linked by one situation or by one other character that we also get to know through these chapters or parts. I really enjoyed the writing in this one. I like how Ali Smith creates a story and the characters and how she adds to it by telling the story of someone else, and how we learn more about things, how she has a very highbrow art idea in her books and some characters are protecting or defending that. And I really enjoyed it. I can highly recommend this if you like Ali Smith's writing. If you don't like her writing, I don't think you're going to like this one. Another physical book I reviewed is Here We Are by Graham Swift. I love Graham Swift. If you didn't know that, you should read all his works because I think he's great. But he always has his similar or same style of writing. So he doesn't tell the story forward and straight from the beginning to end, but he jumps around between characters, times, events to look at some core character forming events in a person's life. And this happens here as well. We have the story of 3 people, a magician, a song and dance man, and the assistant of the magician, and how their life changed when they met and performed together in the late 50s, things that happened before and things that happened after. And in the 50s, there's this big changing event that formed all of their lives. And it's very interesting. I liked it. I like his writing style. I like how he deals with mourning and the past affecting the present and the character, and how you are always bound to your past and you can never let it really go. I liked it. I can recommend it. The last physical book I read, I also reviewed. It's The Collector by John Fowles. Here we have a story that didn't go as I expected. It's the story of a young man who kidnaps a woman and then locks her up in his basement. I didn't really expect that. It's very well done. I really enjoyed the writing in this book. The first part starts with the perspective of the kidnapper. We learn about him, his life, and how the kidnapping goes, and how the events that follow once he kidnapped the young woman happen, and how he sees them. The second part switches perspective and writing style completely. We see everything from her perspective in a diary style presentation. Now, this part really is very interesting because I personally felt that I didn't like the victim from the beginning, and the woman doesn't really get more likable the more you read from her own words, her own views of life and character, and it's very interesting to experience that. I enjoyed reading the kidnapper's part much more than I liked her parts, and I found that very fascinating. Part 3 and 4 are back from the kidnapper's point of view, and they describe the events after the diary ended. And I thought this is a very fascinating book. It's very well written. There's no rape and no sexual violence in there if you are scared of that and worry about picking up the book because of that. And I can highly recommend it. It's a very well written book about a rather difficult topic, but you can learn so much about the society, the characters, and opinions of people in the 1960s when this was written. I also read an ebook this month that I put up a review for. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a story of a little cafe in a basement that allows you to time travel back and see or re-meet people that have visited the cafe in the past. So we have different parts again, and each part focuses on one character time traveling, but we also have the same set of characters throughout the book. There's a lot of repetition due to the way the stories are told. So a lot of things are told more than once in the different parts of the story. But I didn't mind that. It really fit the design or story how it was told. I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the characters and the idea of how the time travel affected the people that time traveled and the rules around the time travel. Highly recommend that. The rest of the books I read this month were on audio, and I reviewed one of them. We Are the Weather by Jonathan Safran Foer. And I really enjoyed the audiobook. I cannot say that I would have enjoyed the physical book as much because there are a lot of parts where he's just talking and it feels like he has a conversation either with you or with himself. And therefore the audiobook, which is narrated by himself, really works well to transport or really give you a good feeling of this book. I think I listened to it in one go or in 2 days because it was just very easy to listen to, and I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the message, which isn't as harsh as it was in Eating Animals. I liked how he rethought his progress and compared this book to Eating Animals and his attitude and everything around that. I really enjoyed that. I also have to say that this book is more to my personal idea and belief of how we can deal with climate and with life and all these things around it. So I think I was biased to enjoy his message. I don't know if that helped in enjoying the book, which I'm already biased because I really like all his books. The rest of the books I didn't fully review, so let's try and say a little bit more here, but most of them I didn't really have that much to say about. I listened to Dust Tracks in the Road by Zora Neale Hurston, which is her memoir, and I enjoyed it, although I find myself not caring much about it. The audiobook was really well done. The book focuses a lot on different parts in her life and concentrates on some more and ignores others. I was wondering when her childhood parts were there, how she could remember all these things in so much detail. I always think that when I listen to an autobiography where people talk about their experiences when they were very small and recall long conversations and long things, I honestly have no memory of that. So I don't know if they just have stories told or who knows. Anyway, so that was the beginning. Then her later life was very interesting on what she did and her career and her attitudes and opinions on race and society and everything. But she only scratched on that in some parts, and I'm not completely sure where she stands at the end. So I don't know. I thought it was a good book and very interesting about her life. But afterwards, I didn't really know more, or I forgot about it. Not sure what that says about the book or me. Then I listened to a fun Sherlock Holmes retelling of Warlock Holmes, where Dr. Watson is the smart one, and Sherlock Holmes, or Warlock Holmes, is basically a little bit oblivious and doesn't see a lot of things. He just knows them because he has magic powers. And I enjoyed it. It was a fun audiobook. The narration was well done. The story was captivating. The ending was rather surprising, so I need to go to the second book to find out what happens next. Then I listened to The Dutch House by Anne Patchett, and I must say the audiobook was okay, but I find myself not sure what this book wanted to tell me. I found the more I listened, the less I cared about the characters. I didn't find the writing either super good or super bad or standing out in any way. It was well narrated and well told, the story, but I don't know what the story really wanted to tell me. The book follows these siblings, Danny and Maeve, who lived or grew up in the Dutch house, and then things happen, so they don't live in the Dutch house anymore, but they keep going back and things evolve around it. The story is told sometimes in the present and past, switching back and forth between different time episodes. Sometimes it can be confusing, but most of the time it isn't, and I felt there was no conclusion. Things didn't really go anywhere. There was no other than this is our life and this is what happened. And I don't know. I really don't know. I came away thinking, yeah, so? Then I listened to a German book, the Känguru-Chroniken, the Kangaroo Chronicles, and I know that this is translated in English as well. It's basically short episodes of a young writer, artist, stand-up comedian, whatever, and his flatmate, a kangaroo, who's a communist. And they have little interactions and episodes. It's like little essays or short episodes of dialogue that make you smile and make you laugh. And that was very good, because we all need to laugh right now a little bit. And yeah, can highly recommend it if you haven't read it already. It's very popular in Germany. I'm probably the last person to read it. I also have to say that listening to the audiobook probably made me like it more than I would have on paper. It's just this kind of humor works better if someone tells it to me than when I read it myself. I really get lost and not interested in the story topic or whatever. My fault, I know. The last audiobook I listened to, I actually finished in April, but I want to talk about it now because I will forget everything about it. Pebble in the Dark was gifted to me by a friend who won a credit at Audible and doesn't use Audible. So she thought, hey, maybe Wiebke likes it. And I was like, oh, why not? What I didn't know, because I never researched anything, I was just like, hey, free audiobook, was that it's categorized as an espionage sci-fi thriller thing. And if you know me at all, you know I don't care about thrillers and espionage books. I tend to get bored by them. That doesn't mean the book is bad, but I just don't care. And that happened here as well. The story is about some pebble that apparently brought life to Earth, and there is an auction where countries can auction for the directions to this pebble. And things happen. And I found myself mildly entertained. I can't say the writing is bad or good, because it might be really good for the genre. But for me, it was just boring. The characters were super stock figurey, which often happens in these kinds of books. There's no character development in a sense that you could understand it. It's more character presentation. You see the people and get who they are, and you get told what their character traits are, and they don't change. They're flat. And maybe that happens in book 2 and 3, which I'm not going to get because I actually don't care. Can't say anything else. It's just the genre. I get bored listening to thrillers, or reading thrillers is even worse. I probably can't finish them. So I finished this, which is a good sign. And that were all the books I read in March. Quite a lot, and I'm thinking that April may go as well, because we're still in lockdown and I don't know how much longer. I tend to go through a lot of audiobooks, and I probably will go through more in April. But that's just it. It's okay. How are you doing? How are you dealing with the situation? I hope you're all healthy and fine. And yeah, let's talk in comments about March, reading, whatever. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.